All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Once again, my name is Craig. I am a recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. And as always, we try to bring some informative information dealing with addiction and the aspect of recovery. And so today we're bringing an article to everyone from rehabguide.co.uk. You can go online and retrieve this article and read it at your leisure if you want. And so today we're going to get right into it. Once again, my name is Craig. I have people here that you cannot see, but you may hear them as we go on through this reading process. And if they would like to introduce themselves, they can. If not, we'll move right into the article.
I'm Will.
Will,
I'm a volunteer recovery coach
perfect.
in training.
All right. And the other one to remain anonymous?
No,
Okay.
my name is Kathy.
Okay.
I'm here with my husband,
Bob.
and we lost our daughter.
Okay. And so once again, we just want to extend our condolences to you. And we know this time of year can be very challenging to a lot of people. And so I want to bring this article so that we can gain more insight and be more aware of the importance of remembering our loved ones and the holiday season that is upon us. So we know Thanksgiving is coming, Christmas is coming, New Year's, whatever celebration that you may celebrate. And so we want to be mindful of that because we know that is very a sensitive subject matter. All right, so the first thing we want to go is talk about is our title for tonight. And our title of tonight, you can see it scrolling at the bottom of this screen, your screen as well, Losing a Loved One to Addiction. This is our family recovery support group. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. And so the first topic of discussion is, what's it like losing someone to addiction? The article starts off and it shares some information. And it says, losing a loved one or relative is always hard. If you have lost a loved one from an addiction, it is often more challenging and more complicated. When someone with an addiction dies, the relatives and friends of the addicted person need the support of those around them. It is not healthy mentally and physically to suppress your emotions. If you feel guilty because you think you did not do enough to help your loved ones deal with their alcoholism or drug addiction, do not contain that guilt, as you will only cause yourself further grief. All right? And so we're not here to tell you not to grieve. Take as much as time you need, but just be mindful of the information that's being shared. All right? And so if the audience or if the group would like to take part in the reading discussion, you're more than welcome. If someone would like to read the second one, just let me know. If not, I will continue. And this is an open discussion. And so now you just made mention that y'all lost your loved one, right? And so, and we know the holidays is coming up upon us. So it can be very challenging. Yes. So, and just want to let you know that we're here as a support. And if you need to take a moment, we'll just continue on. If you want to share some thoughts, you feel free. The floor is yours. So,
I will, but
okay.
not it.
Take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. And so I'll read some more, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the next part that we want to share is be honest with yourself at all times. The article says, acknowledge you could not control the outcome. Regardless of what happened leading up to the death, you cannot change the outcome. Thinking otherwise will only leave you torturing yourself and causing you further harm. The loss of a loved one to an addiction is always difficult to deal with. However, blaming yourself would not help. And so we have a lady that, two ladies, matter of fact, that comes to our family support group, and they lost both of their sons. They're not here with us tonight, but they still are dealing with the loss of their loved one. And I don't know how many years it has been, but it's still a sensitive subject matter for them as well. And so we're looking to start a group where these ladies, they're looking to be the spearhead of the group, whereas families and parents can come together and be supportive of one another. And they're going to lead the group because they have more experience. And it took them a while to grapple, I don't want to say grapple, to get help. It was almost from their side of the story, is that the parent had a different point of view of how they could have been more supportive or what they didn't do or just that and another. Now I have a little insight about your loved one because I assist and I know you, mom, you very, very smart, as well as dad, because I know dad would literally take her, to get help. So y'all was there. No one I know from firsthand, and I am just a recovery coach, that y'all did a lot. Y'all did a lot. And so one thing about addiction, it is a disease. And a lot of people don't understand, just like, I don't want to say just like, but it's as if a person has diabetes, you have to take medicine for it because you can't control it on your own. So a lot of people need medicine, or sometimes it's hard to control the disease. Sometimes the disease has a way of taking control of us. I am someone who also is in recovery myself. I started out as a young person, and I went through a rehab program, a therapeutic community program, and by the grace of God, I just said by the grace of God because I'm still here and to live and tell about my journey. But my journey turned out a little different from a lot of people, not so much different. During my active addiction stage, I got caught up in the lifestyle of committing crime, doing things that I wasn't in my right state of mind. And I take full responsibility for it. And I am under the belief, if it wasn't for God and the time that I served, my life I probably wouldn't be here today. And so my goal is basically to share my story, to not only to help somebody else, but by me sharing my story, and hopefully people who have lived with loved ones who have experienced, not personally, but the lifestyle of the loved one, that they can share their stories to help others as well. Because this thing here, this fentanyl thing, is very, I won't say out of control. We go out in the community, we work with the prosecutor office. They have a program called Knock and Talk for those who have overdosed from addiction. what we do here at this office, we go out and try to at least encourage people who offer services so that, and some people are fatal, some people are non-fatal. And so the goal, once again, is to help us become more aware and let people know that they're not alone in the process. I don't have the same experience that you have experienced, but I have similarities by my addiction. And so I'm in recovery still. And so if you want to share anything, feel free. I don't want to be talking.
I thought it was ironic when Alyssa was in the hospital. She had overdosed, but she wasn't gone. It took a while, for them to determine that there was no brain activity. So she was there for a while. And, she was on, different IVs. And it was very ironic to me that one of them was fentanyl. It's,
Yeah.
the drugs, they start out to help, that this is a great thing for
Pain.
anesthesia, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And then it goes crazy and she was on methadone, which was ironic because methadone does not block fentanyl. So what's the point?
Mm.
I think that's outdated, methadone.
Mhm. Mhm.
The way you're saying that, I'm thinking maybe you agree with me. I don't know.
Yeah, been around for so long.
It's been around for so long, and I don't think it's effective, but it kind of placates people that, somebody's going to a methadone clinic, but it used to infuriate me because I knew what she was doing anyway, and this wasn't helping,
The harm reduction method.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that. I mean, maybe, yes, maybe, I read, I try to educate myself. I know that can help, with overdose somewhat, but not with fentanyl, obviously, not
Yeah,
enough.
not with overdose, but
No.
try to wean them off of the craving
Right.
of the drug. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll start on a whole nother tangent, but, because then the person that's going to those clinics is then into another thing that I have to wean off of, so
Yeah.
what can I say? I took her many times, I hoped for the best, but
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of hope in it, but, I don't want to.
The thing
Heard somebody
about
saying that.
the fentanyl, a lot of people is not. I'm not sure if it's the disease that block people understanding of how powerful this drug fentanyl is, or people, or the addiction is so strong that people their tolerance level is high and they think their tolerance is that high. And this drug, fentanyl, is so powerful. We're trying to get the word out that, a lot of people don't even realize that they're putting it in marijuana.
I was just going to say that it's in everything.
It's in everything. They're putting it in marijuana. We visit, we do a knock and talk, and we go to a guy's house, and he said, only thing I smoke is marijuana. He said, but I didn't know that it was laced with fentanyl. And I was surprised myself. I said, what? I said, I'm saying to myself, nah, he's kidding me. But I come to find out, he's not the only one telling us, well, it's laced with marijuana, cocaine, heroin, I guess whatever else people are using. When I was using it, they was using morphine. Yeah, they was using morphine, but it wasn't as that. Sometimes it could be deadly.
Sure.
But this fentanyl thing is like,
No, it's never been nothing like it.
yeah, we hear so much. We get a report, and Cumberland County It's not as high as other counties, but it's
It's-
slowly
It's up
gradually
there.
getting up there. Yeah, and so we're doing all we can with the other agencies to try to combat it.
Mhm.
So it's a fight. It's a fight.
And for me as a parent or any loved one, having the knowledge, because I tried to educate myself as much as I can, I was still powerless, in the face of her addiction,
Yeah.
and I don't know that anybody isn't powerless in the face of someone else's addiction. You
Mhm.
want to be there, you want to do what you can, and it's always going to be up to that person,
Yes.
to find their way out.
Yeah. And so it's it's often said, no matter, I used to always say, no matter how much anyone tried to tell me to stop, I wasn't ready to stop until I was ready to stop. So that's the thing about addiction. I had to stop because I was saying to myself, I don't want to continue going down that road. And so, but what helped me was the professional help. Now, for me, the coping mechanism or the the tools of coping with life. I'm someone who suffered from PTSD, and that comes from childhood experiences, whether firsthand or secondhand witnessing. And so I didn't know how to cope with it. And so I used to mask my feelings or my emotions with the PTSD by using drugs. And so a lot of times, come to find out, me and Will, we took a class called CHW, Community Health Worker. And one of the things that we learned about, it's a score called ACEs, uh, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And that comes from a lot of things from adverse childhood experience. Some people experience, not all. And so I know myself, if I was to be scored back then, I was going to have a high score because I've endured so much or experienced so much. But we all have something. There's a root. That's what we're trying to find out. What is the root cause of why people? Because you don't wake up and say, "Hey, I just want to use drugs." There has to be an underlying issue. And so,
I don't know if you knew, you probably did, but Alyssa was adopted. Um, so, she didn't have any of the first child. I mean, no child is perfect. We weren't perfect parents, certainly. But in her birth family, there were, there was substance abuse. And
mhm,
and we I didn't know it as well in the beginning, towards the end, because she did meet her birth mother and some siblings. Um, so I mean, you can't, I don't know what anybody, but that's part of it too. And someone, it's in their biology,
yeah,
And
yes, yeah, okay.
all of these things that everyone's mentioning, it's not one or the other. It's everything.
Combination.
It's a combination.
Yeah.
So one addict might have the childhood experiences might play a big part,
Mhm,
not so much genetics. But
mhm,
another addict, it might be directly genetics.
mhm.
It's a combination of all of these things, I believe.
Well, and that's why it's so important to have the professional people to get their perspective or point of view, because these professional people has went to school and studied the importance of learning more about the behavior.
The data, the research.
Yeah, so, and that's why when we take the class of a certified peer recovery coach, they let us know we must let people know that we are not psychologists. We haven't studied in that field. We're not a counselor because we haven't studied in that field. We are not sponsors, anything of that, or therapists. And we always recommend for anyone, if you're seeking treatment or help as a parent, always seek professional counseling because that can give you a better insight. They have all the tools that needed to help us overcome whether it be active addiction or a loss of a loved one. So, is that something that you know?
Been there.
Been that?
Sorry.
Really?
Of course. I mean,
Right.
I particularly, not so much Bob, but he was working more, so I was sort of like,
Filling in the blank.
it was hitting me probably. I know it hit him too, but I was in the trenches, if you want to say. But now, of course, I did that. One of the things I was in Reconnections, which is in a different county, but I made a really strong connection with somebody that worked there. In fact, we're still in touch, even though I'm not part of her client base, if you want to say it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're very much, in touch, and we went to something just the other day, to maybe run into someone. So no, I always did that.
Yeah,
So
that's great. That's
so
great. That's great.
whatever challenge
Yeah.
that I've had in my life, me particularly, I'm saying, I always sought out.
Yeah, that's great. That's good.
But that can't help me now. I mean, it's not that it can't. This is better.
Okay, well, that's good. Recovery support groups, if that's something that can help and assist to have these conversation with people who have similar experiences or who have some insight, we welcome you all the more. Because like this article is telling us, sometimes a lot of family members can be hard on themselves. I didn't do enough. What can I do different? We hear the story with the young lady that comes here, and they try to do all they can. I believe they did all they can. And one thing about the aspect of enabling someone can be, we think we're helping when we understand the aspect of enabling, we could be doing more harm. So that's something that a lot of people is not aware of because the love, you want to, as a parent or as a sibling, you want to do all you can for your loved one. But when it comes down to it, for me, I always learned through the therapeutic community is that you can't keep your focus on someone else. You have to say I. So when I say I say for me, I had to say, hey, enough is enough. But it took years. I started out young, but it took years. I'm up in age now, but y'all feel like reading some more?
Sure.
All right, I'll read some more then. All right, and so for the audience, all right, and so we just covered two topics. First one we went over. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Will, thank you so much for sharing as well. So we went over the first topic, what it's like losing someone to addiction. The second topic, be honest with yourself at all times. And the next one we want to share is losing a loved one to drugs. Let's see what this article says. Those who have lost a loved one to addiction often find it difficult to speak to others about their loss. It can be challenging for those who have never experienced addiction themselves or with a loved one to understand the circumstances around a death caused by alcohol or drugs. Some friends, family, or other loved ones may not have been aware of addiction and be shocked by this discovery. It is important to treat a death caused by addiction like any other and allow yourself and those around you to grieve in the way that they choose, right? I often say when it comes to grieving or healing process, I'm married, and so me and my wife, we had, we still do have issues or challenges in our marriage, and so we went to a biblical marriage counselor, and I was on the, and so we sit down in front of the counselor, and I would say, you know, my wife, she keep bringing up past stuff. She keep bringing up past issues, and the biblical counselor would say, well, who was you to say when the time frame for her to heal? And I said, oh, you know, I never looked at it from that perspective, and that's just like with grieving. It's not our position to tell someone get over it. No, whatever time a person needs, they need. I just want to share that with you. All right, and so the next part of this same topic, it says, the legal procedure and process surrounding a drug or alcohol-related death can be complicated and lengthy, which can be overwhelming and distressing. Often there are unanswered questions when a loved one dies in such tragic circumstances. Sometimes people are unaware their loved one was drinking heavily or using drugs. Regardless of whether the death was anticipated or feared, it can still be devastating when it happens. Guilty feelings are extremely common with alcohol and drug related death. You then find yourself wondering what you could have done to help, or that had you done anything different, and then they may still be here. So we're also mindful of Thanksgiving is coming around. And so a lot of times during this time of year, I like to remind people of the triggers for those who are in active addiction. Some of the triggers that people face during the holiday season, some of the cravings, and some of the urges, and people, places, and things. Now, as far as what it would look like for those who are in the grievance stage or not having a loved one there, um, that's something someone who have shared that experience will have to shed light on that, because that really is something that we all can help one another better understand of how do one deal. Let me ask both of these questions. What is, what are some of the things that you're planning to do different or that can help y'all through the process during Thanksgiving or during the holidays? Is there something in place and plans?
I'm laughing because I've been on my feet like for the last 2 days cooking,
Right.
cooking everything,
Yeah,
and nobody's coming, but I'm still doing that
still, yeah,
because I can't not.
yeah. It's, and that could be therapeutic.
Yeah, 'cause my knees hurt now.
So Bob, are you any help around the kitchen?
No, I'm the cleanup person.
Are you clean up person? Nice.
Go
nice.
get this, go get this, clean this up. But, I mean, I guess the thing was, we were supposed to have people over, and then some people have canceled on us.
Oh, okay.
So I just,
But we're still
Did it
moving
anyway.
forward with it.
Still going forward, yeah. And like my wife, I have a mother, so she's have some physical challenges, but it's just me and my wife at the house. And I'm more like you, Bob. My wife does all the cooking. I'll pitch in with the dishes or whatever she may need. But being that, and we don't have children of our own, but for us, the tradition of having a traditional meal is therapeutic for us. Because I think not having that, I think for us, it probably would be a sad day. And plus, I want to watch football. I enjoy a nice meal.
We have, we still have our son and 2 grandchildren,
Oh,
but he's a firefighter and
Is is he
he's
married?
working. Yeah, well, yeah, he was living in Vineland. He's right now, he's building a house. So he doesn't have an address except for ours, but he's more with his fiance than anything else, And the kids, since he's working and this is the fiance, not the, baby mama. So, baby mamas, so, they're not going to,
So, yeah, he's working on
yeah,
that.
he'll be working, and he worked last Thanksgiving. It's just, it's just the luck of the draw, this is the way it is, so.
You're working as well? You got work? Oh, wow. Well, we're blessed to have a day off. We work for the county, so they have holidays off and stuff like that. So, yeah, well, the good thing about it is that you're moving forward. You're moving forward, and I think that's, to me, I would look at it as a therapeutic perspective. For me, I can't say for you, but a lot of time, oftentimes, when we do things that are therapeutic, it helps us. It helps me. I'm trying to keep the focus on me. So for me to do things that which is therapeutic, it helps me to keep my mind off of past behaviors and we call it positive reinforcement. And so that is, we replace something that is negative and replace it with something positive. And if I do that often enough, that perception will take place in my behavior. So that's good. That's good to hear. Thank you again for sharing on that note. So we're going to keep reading this a little bit more. It's 6:05. Normally this group here we cut it short because we don't try to make it too extensive. We don't want to bore people. But how are y'all feeling about so far the group discussion? Okay.
I talk a lot.
That's all right. That's good.
I wish I'd seen Raina tonight too, but
Raina should be here. Oh,
maybe-
Tuesday. Oh, so
So she's
Raina.
always off Tuesdays?
See, her and Carl up front, on Tuesday, they run a group at the court building.
Oh, okay.
So
That's all right.
you have a number?
Yeah, I still, I think, I did purge a couple numbers, but I don't think she was one of them. I don't think so. There were a couple I said, you know what, I really don't need this number anymore, so I'm not gonna keep that.
And
But I don't think it was Raina. I can't imagine why I would do that.
yeah, I know Raina, she would love to see you and talk with you. Yeah. So she's that type of person.
She and Alyssa went for the same job, which I guess was this one. And they had said before, that whoever got it, it was going to be okay, and it turned out Alyssa got it, but then the pandemic hit
Oh.
and she relapsed during the pandemic. So
Oh, yeah, tough times. Yeah. That pandemic, it did a number on a lot of people, a lot of areas. Yeah.
yes, and yet she worked the whole time,
Yeah.
because she had a job at the convenience store.
Mhm.
And it's, seemed like everything was okay, but it wasn't, I really didn't, most of the time I would know, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't know then.
The
that-
last time.
No, just when she went and she, had to do her employment test. And, she said, would you believe I failed the physical? And I thought, you tested positive. I mean, I knew it, I can't believe I failed the physical. I said, "Oh, well, I know what that means." So,
Yeah. The holidays is here. Anything you'd like to share about this holiday season?
Mhm.
Now, are you
Oh, no.
are you in recovery as well?
I would say so, yes.
No, I mean, okay, you will say
But,
so.
yeah, because I mean, if I was to briefly describe, the timeline of, my involvement on and off drugs and alcohol,
Mhm.
I mean, and then where I'm at today, I would consider myself, once upon a time I was court ordered, because
Man,
like you, it was more of the lifestyle surrounding, not as much as the simple use. It was like the lifestyle attached.
I get that.
And
people, places, and things.
of course. And so a lot of just living that lifestyle. I mean, I got custody of my children, kept employment, but that lifestyle was always attached.
Oh,
Because of people that I know and places that I live.
yeah, it's hard to
So I
break
thought,
that cycle.
I thought I'd always be all right, but it's like I would have bouts of not really trying,
Okay,
but I would, in my mind, I'm like, I gotta get it together,
yeah,
and then I'll be doing good, and then I'll be doing good enough to where I'm thinking, oh, this ain't gonna hurt,
let me just
and
know
then
a little
it'll
bit.
land me back to square one, and and I started, catching. I'm gonna rephrase that. I started committing crimes.
Okay,
I learned that, I don't know if it was from you or from someone else. It's like accountability.
mm-hmm.
You don't say I caught a charge or you didn't catch it like the cold.
Shifting the blame. No,
You committed a
You own up
crime.
to it.
So, I was losing my license. On the verge of going to jail, and instead, was court ordered to, to take part in the drug alcohol program, and I didn't adapt to it very well in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
but I knew for the length of time that I had to be on this program, I knew I better change my mind and embrace it.
Uh-huh.
That's when the lights started coming on for me. When I was in this room with other people,
Yeah,
similar, plus or minus, you have people more involved and the people less involved. I always say that about everything. So it lands me right there in the middle. I embraced the program. I was going to NA and AA 5 days a week. We're talking, this is like around 2008, I believe. Completed the program, got off I wasn't court ordered anymore. So I didn't legally have to attend. I had 10 years sober, and I thought I beat the game. I thought I won.
yeah.
So I was like, I don't need to go to these meetings anymore. I don't need this over my head anymore. And I went about my life. Things was good.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got my two teenagers now. They were small, so I was raising them alone. I met a woman that helped me raise my kids, and then things didn't work out between me and the lady, and we went our separate ways, and it landed me right back in the place where I came from.
Okay. So you relapsed because of situational relapse.
I thought
Something
I
happened.
thought I was like, Actually, it was a family event, and I thought I could, take a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's cheering me on. Oh, you ain't drinking 10 years. You're clean. You're good.
Instead of going to get counseling for the relationship, you say, I can do it on my own.
Yeah, I took in that one drink. Everything spiraled down from that, so to answer your question, I'm in continuous recovery. It's been about 3 years since. Going on 3 years. It's not quite 3 years, but opportunity to be a positive influence in telling my story came, and I took it. I'm here.
You working
And
on
I'm working on, being like you, telling my story to help others that've been through similar situations.
It's good. The holidays coming. As the audience, we said it earlier, and so we have to be mindful. Even those who may think that they don't have an addiction. I was always taught when I was in the therapeutic community that everything is a behavior, and so I had to understand that there's consequences for everything. If I do good, I'm gonna get rewarded. If I do bad, I'm gonna get punished. So I always keep that in the forefront of my brain. Okay, there is a process, and so if you just continue to monitor your behavior, things that you think about, your perception, because when it comes down to, we talked about addiction being a disease, and one of the things I learned was the cognitive perspective of becoming more aware of how I respond to life-giving situations. And one of the things is, it was called the ABC module. This helped me tremendously. To this day, I still remember it like yesterday. And it's called, A stands for activating events. So how I perceive these events that's going on around me, I'm able to get better results. If I look at it from a negative perspective, I'll get bad results. And that's from the belief system that the self-talk that I'm telling myself of the event. So that's the B. So the activating events, A, B. It's the belief system of self-talk, and see if the consequences from A and B. So I keep that on the forefront, and it works for me. And so
you could apply that to like a lot of things.
Because so
I was going through some things at work, and I was, if I had that negative attitude, it would make me not want to do my job, which is why I get paid. So lately it's a lot of younger guys there, and they're bringing them up into leadership. And one guy quit, but they offered him a leadership position, so he came back. And I was talking to him just today, and I was like, you know what? You might hear me rant a lot, but I said nothing's good is going to come out of that. I said, when you approach, the job with the positive mindset, I said, you get out what you get back what you put out. So it's similar,
Right. Whatever you put in, is what you're going to get out.
I had a much better day talking to him in the positive light, as opposed to kicking my feet, dragging my feet, like, I can't wait to quit this job.
You want to be more of a better role model, and a better example for them. And so I think that's what life is all about, is helping someone if we can along the way. All right, and so that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Can I ask you real quick, were you talking about detox? You said the therapeutic community?
It was called Gateway Foundation. This was something that was offered when I was incarcerated.
Mhm.
And so it, you know, I'll share this with you. I'm trying to make it short. So before my release date, they asked me, say, do you want to go to a work camp or you would like to go to a treatment because they have a list of your behaviors, whether you used to use drugs prior to coming to jail. And so I said to myself, uh, I would like to go to a treatment instead of going to a work camp. So they said, we're gonna give you 45 days to think about it. So came back 45 days. They said, so have you made a decision? I said, yes, I'm convinced. I said, because one of the reasons why I would like to go to the treatment facility is because I don't want to go back out the same way I came in. I want to go back out in society as a new person. And so I went into therapeutic. I've never been into a treatment program in my life. And so I guess there, it's called Gateway Foundation. And I get there, and the language was so foreign. When I say the language was foreign, it's like all the slogans that it was using. I would say expediter. Everybody come in, you go through orientation, main treatment, and reentry. So you become an expediter. You addressing behaviors. It's like, what is this? But as much as so I said, I'm going to stick with it and see how far I get. Some people was in there, and I would hear this often. I'm just here to fake it till I make it. And I said, I don't want to fake it till I make it. I want to make it. So I was determined. And so as I began to go through these stages of orientation, main treatment, by the time I got the main treatment, that was orientation 90 days, main treatment's 90 days. By the time I got to the second 90 days, 180 days, that's when there was a facilitator. He was teaching this course called Cognitive Reconstruction Process. Right? I said Cognitive Reconstruction, CRP. And I went back and I got in Webster Dictionary and said, I didn't understand what cognitive was at the time. And I said, cognitive. And it says, yeah, it's a perception of knowledge of change of one thought pattern. And I said, whoa. So you mean tell me if I change my thought pattern, I'll be able to move forward, restructuring my thought process? And that's when it hit me. I began to applying, identifying certain things that will come up. And I said, wow, if I can identify it, then I can recognize. Once I recognize it, I identify, I can label it. Once I label it, then I can apply what I want to respond to it positively.
Let me ask you a question, because that's interesting. So this Gateway Foundation, is that through the courts?
Department of Correction.
Because the reason why I ask is because my situation, I'm gonna just guess the time frames are different.
Okay.
I could probably ask you off the record later, but it's not important. When I had my experience, it was through drug court.
Okay.
And
Our daughter did.
it was I don't know if I should say this, but from my opinion, my experience, it was it's like an experimental alternative to jail. So
Absolutely.
I want to say 9 out of 10 people till this day, we're talking, I was on there 2008, I believe. Till this day, it's rare that people graduate there because they say, oh, it's a setup. I met a couple young ladies on the program recently, and they're saying the same things that was being said when I was on the program. Oh, it's a setup. It's a setup. They're trying to lock you up. But that's the cognitive thinking, you know, that
Thinking.
it's,
Yeah.
it's,
Thinking.
Yes,
I like
so it's thinking.
you know, these, you know, you wanna think that it's there to help, but it's you that, you know, the program is like, and when I was in school, I took a business law course that was taught by a lawyer,
Mhm.
and he always says the life of law is an experience, not logic.
Okay.
And so if you're on a court mandated program, it's they're not worried about what you got going on personal, because like all of these guidelines are structured for you have to adapt to it.
Yeah.
It's not that they're going to adapt to you.
Mhm.
So when you with my I guess my what I'm trying to get at is what you're explaining is kind of it's like they cared about you enough to, you know, restructure your thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're on drug court, it's just like you need to be here at this place at a certain time. You need to follow these rules. It's like hut 1, 2, or
Yeah.
you're going to jail.
But that it's a structured environment, but it's also giving you coping tools, teaching you coping skills, how to cope with adverse behavior, how to cope with confrontation, how to cope with anger, how to cope with your emotions, how to in a better way, as opposed to being always looking at things from a aggressive way, or old behaviors. I would handle a situation of old behavior in a negative light. But they restructured me or taught me new tools or new methods and say, if I look at it from this light, if I approach it from this perspective, 9/10 of the time, I'm gonna get better results.
Mhm.
And I put it through the test. Here I am.
It's a lot of people that's not here with us today that I was on the program with
Mhm.
back then.
Yeah.
A lot,
Yeah.
like more than a few. I could just to think about, you know. And the other, if they're not passed away, they went back to jail.
Yeah, yeah. And so those are some of the things that people face or some of the cycles, if you don't take advantage or if I didn't take advantage, what was being taught, the likelihood of me repeating those same behavior of recidivism.
So I think that's key. That it's you know, for it's like you need some restructuring of the way you
You
think.
have to, of course. Well, it's been very informative tonight. I'm glad we have two people that came out, Bob, Kathy, and Will. Thank you all for coming, sharing, taking the time out to be with us. I pray that everyone has a safe and blessed Thanksgiving, and always put God first in everything that we say and do. And He'll do the rest. I'm a true believer of that. That's my faith, because I had to accept a higher power. At one time, I didn't have a higher power, but now I do. Until those who may be watching, until the next week, please join us again. Stay safe. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. See you the next time. I'm going to close this out.